Yeah, do you see it now in the full screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for introducing me already. So yeah, I'm Inga, and I'm really happy to talk today about rangelands, what I think is a really important and interesting topic. So we're talking especially about balancing economy and ecology in rangeland. So I first want to yeah, introduce you into rangeland in a more global overview, but really shortly, and then come to the topic overgrazing in Kyrgyzstan and the path to sustainable development through community-based pasture management. Wait a second, I just, yeah. Yeah, so the first question is first, yeah, what are rangelands? So as rangelands are all areas defined that have nature's vegetation that is predominantly grasses or grass-like plants, forbs, or shrubs. And rangelands getting grazed, or at least they have the potential to be grazed. So yeah, as you can see already, it's quite a broad definition. So rangelands are all natural grasslands, savannas, wetlands, desert, tundra, and also certain forb and shrubs communities. But what is also important to know about rangeland is yeah, that rangelands are home for millions of people. And yeah, from pastoralists to also they are interest for nature conservationists, and they feed millions of people worldwide, and also they have a significant cultural and also aesthetic value. And especially now in the face of climate change, they also play a yeah, crucial role as storage for CO2. So what is important to know also about grasses is that you might not see that big of biomass over the surface, but underneath the surface, they often have a yeah, giant net of yeah, or a root system, and there the CO2 is stored. So that's why they play also a role in the face of climate change. So the question now is how much of the global terrestrial surface is covered by rangeland? And yeah, as you can imagine, it's quite a lot. So it's 54%. That's of course also because this definition is here so broad. And yeah, these are the certain biomes, world biomes that are counted as rangeland. But today we are especially looking at this. I don't know if you can see my pointer, but yeah, in this little cycle, the rangeland types here, because here is where Kyrgyzstan is located. We have here the semi-desert, we have temperate grassland, also called steppe, and we have the montane grassland in higher altitudes. Yeah, now I already want to introduce you into Kyrgyzstan. So Kyrgyzstan is a landlocked country in Central Asia, meaning that they have no direct access to any ocean. The population is estimated with 6,803,000 people, and 64% of them live in rural areas. And what is also important now that we are talking about economy is yeah, that 34% of the people living below the poverty line. And so that you can imagine the landscape a little in Kyrgyzstan, it's important to know that 95% of Kyrgyzstan is covered by the Tian Shan mountain range. Tian Shan mountain range is yeah, a mountain range that is directly next to the Himalaya mountains. So it's impressively high. So 95% lies above 1,500 meters and 70% even above 3,000 meters. Yeah, what is for me an impressive fact, because yeah, coming from North Germany where it's super flat, yeah, that was really impressive to see. Yeah, in Kyrgyzstan, we are in the cool temperate, the so-called Nemural climate zone within the dry Nemural subzone. And we have such a continental climate here, meaning that we have low temperatures in the summer, in the average minus 18, and in no, low temperatures in winter, and yeah, high temperatures in summer, of course, as you can see also here in the climate diagram. But important to know is also that there are big yeah, changes where you are located right now, because in the high mountains it's of course a lot colder in the winters than it is at an altitude of 1,500 meters above sea level. Yeah, the rangeland, as I said already, have 3 different types in Kyrgyzstan, and the Tian Shan Mountains are home to really unique flora and fauna. Kyrgyzstan is also really famous for quite famous for the wild tulip species that they have there. They have 27 of wild tulip species, what is a third of the amount that is existing worldwide. And they are still developing or finding out about different species. And interesting of rangeland is also here that herbivores always played a crucial role. So not just since people or humans brought in the domestic herbivores, also before the humans were in the landscape in that amount, there were always herbivores, for example, wild donkeys. So the vegetation is adapted to that by defense mechanisms, as you can see also here in the picture with the thorns, or others, for example, have essential oil, so they have a specific smell, so that the herbivores don't like to eat them. Yeah, rangeland in Kyrgyzstan are an important source of livelihood. There are, because of the large part of the predominantly rural population is directly depending on these rangelands. So all in all, 46% of the Kyrgyzstan's land area is utilized as pasture land. And the historical practice form of pastoralism is called transhumance, and transhumance means a form of pastoralism in which cattle are moved seasonally by herders between summer pastures at higher altitudes and winter pastures at lower altitudes. So the transhumance is a form of pastoralism that has long proved successful in the semi-arid to arid climate zones, in that also Kyrgyzstan is located. So if transhumance is well managed, this form of pastoralism is the best suited and sustainable form of pastoralism, or also of agriculture in general, in a region that is that dry, that cold, and that mountainous. So often it is not possible to do crop farming here, but this is a good, or if well managed, it is a good form of agriculture for these kind of region. But the key strategy in this is the mobility of the livestock. So this is really important. And I put these pictures here to show you that transhumance also in the present has a big impact in the cultural identity also, because you can see here the national flag with the 3 crossed lines, that this is actually the traditional rooftop of the yurts where the nomads living in. And I had the possibility while I did my research to live in these months in these yurts, and it was really impressive and beautiful to see that lifestyle that is so directly connected with nature, and especially also with living with the different seasons. But of course, there are also sad news. So 87% of the pastures in Kyrgyzstan are right now degraded, at least during one season per year. So when I'm talking about degradation here, I'm referring to the definition of Johnson and Lewis, that means that degradation is the decline in productivity of a land system caused by unsustainable management. To understand how it came to that degradation, even if I told you before that transhumance is a sustainable way of managing these landscape, I want to explain you the post-Soviet transformative process. On this timeline. So before 1930, before the USSR regime imposed a sedentary lifestyle on Kyrgyz people, before that the people were living in a nomadic way. They had a mobile livestock, and a uniform grazing happened. So they were in the winters in the lower valleys, and in the summer they went up to the higher altitudes. But then 1930, the lifestyle of Kyrgyz people completely changed. The nomadic lifestyle was forbidden, and the management was now institutionally organized. So then we found an increase in the livestock until 1980 to 11 million, so quite a high number for livestock in that small country. And then 1991, when Kyrgyzstan got independent again, the livestock was privatized again, and the pasture institution collapsed. And the people now had to manage the livestock themselves again now. What was a really certain change then, really sudden change. And then in the coming years, people lost their jobs, their employments, and the livestock decreased to 3 million, and poverty was increasing in the first years after getting independent. And because people lost their jobs, for example, in fabrics or as professors and so on, they had to go back to a subsistence economy. Meaning that people had to have their own livestock again. Every household had their own cattle again. Because they had to feed themselves somehow, because there were no jobs anymore. And with that, more and more livestock came again and was introduced again until 2014. The increase was to 1 million. But the problem now was that there was less mobility and also less knowledge, because in that generation the knowledge got lost, and also there's a different infrastructure now, infrastructure that is not as good as it was before for this kind of pastoralism. And so we have an overgrazing of winter pastures, and the big problem is also that people were not able to organize it themselves, because it was all regulated by state authorities, but really splitted state authorities, so that there was a problem. But I will explain that further with the next example. But first I want to show you what impact actually the overgrazing has on vegetation and on soil. So these two pictures are took directly next to each other, so just a difference of 10 meters. But the left picture shows the overgrazed area where grazing is happening the whole year, really intense grazing. And the photo on the right side is took in a fenced up area where a regulated grazing is happening. And really visible, I think, is that we have less above ground biomass. So important to know is that this is not only in one season or something, it's ongoing in every year, in every season. So that's because we have an impaired regeneration, and all in all we have less biodiversity. More and more plants getting dominant that have certain defense mechanisms for against the grazing. And we also have a shift in vegetation structure, which has then also an impact to the fauna, especially to insects. In the soil, the impact is visible on higher soil compaction and also on higher risk of erosion, because of this overgrazing and the less biomass. The risk, of course, especially for easy erodible soils, is quite high. We then have also a decrease of soil fertility and a decrease of carbon sink services, and all in all there's a risk of desertification. Yeah, the impact on the economy is also visible. Of course, there's then less agriculture productivity, what I think, yeah, does also make sense when you, yeah, think of the impact on vegetation, and then also an increased vulnerability to extreme weathers. Yeah, what is a big problem now that also Kyrgyzstan is, yeah, facing climate change and facing more and more extreme weather events. And as I said already, a big part or a big yeah, part of the population is directly depending on the health status of these pastures. The annual monetary cost of pasture degradation is estimated with a sum of 601 million US dollars, and that's quite a huge amount if you think that it's yeah, 16% of the gross domestic product. Yeah, to give you now the example and to make it more, yeah, more, or to give more explanations how a grazing regime in the present looks like in Kyrgyzstan, I want to introduce you into the Moldo-Tor range. So the Moldo-Tor range, I hope you can see my pointer. So this is the mountain range, and then we have here the southern slope, and here the northern slope, and here's the yeah, beautiful mountain lake, the Songköl. And as you can see, while we have here still a few villages on the southern slope, and the northern slope is quite remote. Yeah, first I want to introduce you in this location on the southern slope. So here we have a vegetation formation of xeromorphic open dwarf shrub on an altitude of 2,100 meters. Yeah, these vegetation gets grazed throughout the year except winter. We have a really intensive grazing here. And the problem is that the vegetation is yeah, threatened by the drought anyway, because it is south exposed, and the soil capacity, the water soil capacity is yeah, not high in this location. And then the intensive grazing has even more impact on the vegetation. So yeah, as you can see in the picture, predominantly we have here the Caragana plyophylla plant. So this is a plant that has, yeah, really that is really thorny and cannot be eaten by the animals. So we have way less productivity here. And yeah, some eatable plants that were still there, yeah, getting less and less per year, because they cannot come to yeah, come to producing seeds, because they're directly eaten up. And then I want to show you that location here on the northern slope. We have here an alpine meadow on an altitude of 3,200 meters. And what you can see here is the Songköl, and it's the area yeah, that is really famous for its intensive grazing in the summer. So that is a big difference, that this area is not getting grazed the whole year, but only in summer. And also the carrying capacity is very different, because it is yeah, north exposed. We have higher precipitation here, and also different yeah, soil conditions. So we have a way higher carrying capacity, even if it looks, if you are there, it looks like this is more intensively grazed. There were no signs for a degradation yet. But we talked with the people there, and we've done many interviews, and yeah, we were able to find out that, yeah, nearly 50% of the people grazing there are people that just came in the last decade with their livestock here, and the other 50% are people that coming there since generations every summer with their livestock. And yeah, there are many of them were yeah, talking or telling about problems in between these groups, and also that even if there's not a sign of degradation yet, it is visible and, yeah, noticeable for the herders that there is less productivity because of more and more people coming, and also especially people that doesn't bring any knowledge with them because they worked in fabrics before, or yeah. And yeah. So as you can see, that's how it looks there all over. So there are really a lot of livestock. But this is how the vegetation cover looks. And interesting to see was that, yeah, of course, we have many plants that are adapted to the grazing, but still we have most of the key species for these alpine meadows in this climate zone. So we have a high biodiversity in these alpine meadows. Yeah, now I want to introduce you on an approach of community-based pasture management. Yeah, it happened, or it began with the law on pastures of the Kyrgyz Republic that was passed 2009. It was a milestone because the government here began to realize that they should not just blame the pastoralist communities for overgrazing, but recognize them, yeah, that their nomadic practices and migratory patterns are actually really important for a sustainable pasture management, and that they are key to counteracting the degradation in the face of climate change. And yeah, so they passed that law, and that yeah, the important thing was that now the responsibility was again yeah, shifted to the new community-based users organizations that I will introduce you in the next slides to, and away from these state authorities that were really overwhelmed with reorganization of the pasture management. And it's a participatory approach and a bottom-up communication flow. Yeah, bottom-up communication flow is also interesting, thinking of, yeah, before the Soviet Union introduced a more top-down communication flow. Yeah, one important organization with that pasture management is the so-called Pasture Users Union. So that is a community organizations on ILOC Mutu level. ILOC Mutu level means a level yeah, of a community of yeah, a certain amount of villages. And these PUUs are open to all pastures users who are local residents. So the only condition is that they hold livestock or that they use the land for all other livelihood purposes. And these PUUs can then send representative to the so-called pasture committees. And the pasture committees are the executive bodies in this community-based pasture management, and they establish rule about pasture use in their villages. And for that, they also receive pasture management training in form of seminars and workshops. And yeah, the main task of them is to develop and implement a community annual pasture management plan. So this yeah, plan also means that they have to do monitoring to find out about the current livestock and about the current state of the pastures, and especially also about the carrying capacity of the different pastures. So yeah, for finding that out and also for applied methods to find that actually out, they get yeah, these seminars that are mostly done by the Institute for by the Kyrgyz Institute for Livestock and Pasture Research. And then another task or the right is that they yeah, issue certificates. So they collect money, and for that they give certificates for pasture use rights, so-called pasture tickets. And with that money, they carry out investments, for example, in pasture infrastructure, what is yeah, an important point, so that yeah, remote and underutilized summer pastures can be used again. And also they maintenance the pastures. For example, if it's yeah, far away from a river or something, they put their springs for water. And then also an important task is that they have to resolve disputes among pasture users. Especially important if we're looking now at the example of the Molitor range. Yeah, but if I tell you now that this pasture law was already passed in 2009, the question is, of course, what aspects could have hindered or delayed the successful implementing of community-based pasture management? And yeah, that is this question that we can maybe also discuss later. What I found out in by speaking to these people and also by reading papers and but also papers that are still looking for answers, is that there's a lack of normative acts and potential for conflict within the PUs. And a problem is also that these pasture committees get recognized as the government control, what people are seen really problematic, because it's remembering of that Soviet Union system again, and they're not seeing that the PC is representing actually their ideas. So they have also then a problem in achieving real data of livestock, because people of the PUUs, so people that want these pasture rights, not giving right numbers of the livestock because they're not trusting the pasture committees. And also what I think is a big problem, that still every year there is interest in raising livestock numbers. So every herder, every pastoralist wants to have more and more livestock, because also there are no alternative jobs, or alternative jobs getting less. So I think another important step is that it's also that there are also found other jobs, for example, in ecotourism, or in other form of more adapted agriculture. And but I would be interested to hear your opinions maybe also about that. So that was the presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Inga. Yeah, that was a very enlightening one. So I don't know if anybody has a question because we have limited time. Any question? I think okay. Okay, Inga, we got a question. What are the COI associated to the organizational operation? Like, do they normally get support from the government?
So let's see, you use maybe unmeant. I hope that I get the question right, but um, so they get support by the government in the meaning that they get these workshops and there's seminars by the research institute, but it's not directly by the government. So that might also be the problem, that it is not directly help from the government, because the idea was that they more organize it by themselves, because people are interested in resolving that by themselves, and it's hard to control that because it's so different also depending on the community, depending on the conditions around in the mountains. So that's why they try to shift more the responsibility to the people. I hope I got the question right.
Yeah, I don't know whether we have any other question. I thank you so much, Inga, for the response. Okay. I think he got your question. I actually got a question, but I don't think that we should because I think we are running out of time already. So, but I think this is a very lightning one. Maybe we can invite you again because we have so many questions like what are the potential economic benefits of investing in ecological restoration effort of the rangeland? Like we need to know how, like what it will require to actually restore um, the ecological benefit of it. So, I know others also might have some questions, but next month will be better. And thank you so much, Inga, for honoring our invite to speak to us about your experience and your work. And we appreciate it so much. And thank you so much.